Welcome to the Lowdown Podcast, the show where we dive deep into the topics that directly impact the evolving originator. I'm your host, Connor Bartley. Bam! And joining me today is someone that grew up in the industry, in the banking world, has dabbled in some TV hosting and production, and is now a top leader and producer with the team that I play for. Eric Gerber, welcome to the Lowdown.
What's going on, brother? Thanks for
Hey,
the invite.
man. Very happy to have you here, man. It's been great getting to know you. I'm excited to have this conversation with you today. I know that the listeners are going to gain a ton of value from what you're bringing to the show. But before we dive into all that stuff, as usual, I like to get some context for the listeners so that they know who they're listening to. So before we started recording, you were telling me that you've had a pretty nuanced career in this business. So why don't you walk us through that? Like, how did you get into mortgage to begin with, and what's the mortgage story for you?
Cliff Note version only, because I closed my first loan in 2006. I mean, we can go deep, we cannot go deep. It's fine, but here's kind of how this came about. I had a failed athletic career on the West Coast that didn't go according to plan, and kind of came home with my tail between my legs. Wasn't sure I wanted to get right back into school, so took a hiatus from there, and was literally going through the newspaper, because back then, like, there would be jobs listed, right? And it said you could make $90,000 a year as a mortgage loan officer. And I remember showing that to my stepmom, like, I can go make 90 grand a year. I don't believe she was sniffing 90 grand in 2006 at this point in time. And she just laughed at me like, that's just not possible. Well, I called, I got the interview. They asked me if I knew, name one of the three credit bureaus, and I knew one of the three credit bureaus, 22 years old. And I got in, and this was like a set of boiler room, basically. Like credit trigger leads, stated income, just the wild, wild west, right? So I had a lot of fun. I love the energy that we would bring. It's 6 o'clock, let's go get caffed up, and no one can sit until you make a sale on the dialer, right? And I was always told I was a little bit more of an old school sales guy. And I never understood what that meant. I was a see ball, get ball kind of athlete, see ball, get ball kind of sales guy. But I knew that I had the ability to, ease people's concerns and connect with them on a deeper level, and not necessarily in a pushy way, right? So there was some nuance. So I took to mortgage at that point. I haven't been a lifer since then. I did dabble off into some side businesses with, credit counseling and whatnot, but I have been in the games on and off since 2006, transitioned after the recession hit in 08, 09 to consumer direct at Chase, and you're taking calls from clients all over the country. And you need to know what is required to buy a house in Texas and how that's different than Arizona, because there's different forms, right? I'm doing cash out refis for people in Alaska, issues with volcano insurance in Hawaii, right? So like I'm juggling all this different stuff. And then we got into relocation and wealth clients, right? And I looked around, I was like, I'm really good at this, and I'm leaving money on the table. Like, where is the money to really be made in the industry? And it was retail. So after I had done the CD thing for a few years, went to go work at Huntington, which is a regional bank based out of Columbus, Ohio. Great reputation, and I cut my teeth there. Had no referral sources walking into retail. None. First year closed, 35 million. No relationships, just the branch. Next year, 50 million. Next year, 60. Then 70. And we just kept growing and growing, and did the bank thing for a while. Lots of talented people there. Lots of people that care about what they're doing. I could say a lot of good things about it, but we had some challenges. And I didn't think that I could get to the level that I wanted to get to, which was unfortunate, but it was a reality I had to face. I had some health issues too that really impacted my ability to want to continue to originate and stay in that role. So I wanted a leadership position. Well, Nick Gallagher is our national sales director. He is one of the best human beings I've ever met in my entire life. What you see is what you can get.
Yeah.
And Connor, from being in the industry too, man, a lot of people will say one thing and then do another. Especially when recruiting. It's so phony at times. And then once you sign on the dotted line and you've got that guaranteed money, you're stuck. Well, Nick took a year to recruit me. I was a pain in the butt. I already know that. But it's because I'm married, I have kids, like I'm a sole
Yeah.
income earner, like I can't screw this up, right? And I was also going from one role to something I hadn't done before, and I wanted to get it right. Everything that Lower said that they would do during my recruitment in 2021, they 100% followed through on. You can't really put a price tag on that. So the trust, the continuity we have, I haven't experienced that in my tenure in the industry. And so we're wrapping up year 3. Love the direction of the organization. Love the investments that we're making, both in people, our current people, new people too, because outside perspectives are valued, and you can't necessarily just grow by expecting everyone you have to do more business. You need a combo. And then the technology, the coaching. You mentioned coaching before we hopped on. You know, we've got to do more in our industry for our loan officers than we ever have before. It used to be get out there, get after it, go make some money, and that's it. And now you need coaching, you need tech, you need, pricing elasticity, you need, a plethora of products and speed to close. You need all these things. And boy, do we bring it.
Yeah, that you bring a good point up with that. I was on a conversation earlier today in a loco group, a loan officer collaborative, where one of the loan officers that was joining the conversation made the point that there's such a gap between the top 10% of producers in our industry and everyone else. And I had
Massive.
seen a statistic that said that basically the demographic of loan officer that is in the 30 to 60 unit of production a year makes up the top 20 to top 10% of the business. So anybody over 60 units in a year is top 10%. Then you've got, from 11 to 20 is between 30 and 60, and then it drops off. Bottom 80% is under 30 units a year. So it's a huge gap. And I don't know, without coaching, and if there's not a constant, concerted effort from an organization's standpoint to really invest in the development of their sales team, that we ever close that gap. Because those that are in that top 10%, they have the resources, they have the support, they have the financial, wherewithal to be able to invest into, more tools and resources and things of that nature to continue their growth. And it's very difficult when you're in that other category to keep up with that. So I think it's a great point that you make, and it's something that I hope to see take off more industry wide, and I'm glad that we do it here at Lower. But thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, and you're right. We do it here. It didn't always work that way. It really was personal accountability and what is your drive, and get out there and get after it and go get it. And that is still super important, because I believe that most of us are between about here and here from a talent and an ability standpoint, an intelligence standpoint, you name it. So how do you differentiate yourselves? Well, how hungry are you? What's your work ethic? What hobbies do you have? Do you take care? And you've got to be able to take care of yourself holistically. That means getting enough rest. That means working out, breaking a sweat. That means being comfortable being uncomfortable. Because the size of the pie, the size of the pond that we're all fishing in to get business, it's about a quarter of the size that it was during COVID, right? Your refis are gone. Stop looking for them. Like, they'll be there when they get there, right? And then the number of purchase transactions is also way down. So this will thin the herd some. But if you've got the right attitude, the right effort, and you align yourself with the right organization, most importantly. Because I don't care how talented you are. I don't care how much gusto you have and how motivated and fired up you are to be a success. If you're selling crap products with 10% interest rates,
Right.
like you're going to be selling fruit on the highway in California before too long, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
So how do you measure success in a time like this? I mean, with the market being down compared to 20 and 21, I talked to some people who, they're just really either burnt out or kind of down on themselves because they're comparing themselves to the past. And this is definitely not the same market that we experienced then. So in a time like this, as a leader, like how are you measuring success for a loan officer? What are the things that you're really looking for that will say, yeah, you're doing the right things, just keep at it and good things will happen?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of directions you can go with this answer, right? I mean, I think you bring up a great point. Is what is the measuring stick? And it used to be, well, like, am I growing at 10 to 20% year over year? And I'm just going to do more next year, more the year after. And that's great when rates stay artificially low for years and years and years, which was an intentional thing that happened in our market. Like that was what they wanted to do. But when that's not the case, I think you have to judge your performance based on other metrics. And you need to be your biggest critic. Okay? You need to hold your own feet to the fire. You need to put yourself out there. And I'm big on having an accountability buddy and someone to hold your feet to the fire and push you. And iron sharpens iron, man. When I hear people, "Oh, I'm burnout how? From what?" Like, we were drinking business through a fire hose during COVID. I was closing 30 plus deals a month at a bank with two assistants. Okay. And I couldn't get to it all. Like, yeah, I'm going to be burnt out doing that for 24 straight months or however long it was. Right. What do you burn out from? No, you're dejected. You're downtrodden. You're Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. Woe is me. The rates are high. There's not enough. This out. Da, 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 da. Stop. That is self defeating. That's a self defeating mindset. So you have to hold your own feet to the fire, and you have to seek out people who are finding a way to navigate a tough market and making money. Let me give you an example, okay, Connor? When I started to really increase my fundings, when I went from 150 units a year to 250 units a year, how was I doing that? Well, I was doing it by leaning into the product suite that I had in my existing company. I was really leaning into doctor loans. I was really leaning into construction, things I didn't necessarily do previously, and that was a huge differentiator for me. When the market shifts and your refis dry up, where do you go? Well, I pivoted at our current company to non-QM. And I started to make some relationships in Florida and in other places where DSCR was a thing. Non-warrantable condo lending and condo tells became a thing when some of this other stuff dried up. Or even Hocking Hills region in Ohio, which gets as many visitors roughly per annual, and then the Grand Canyon. And we start doing these cabins and these rentals. And next thing you know, you start building relationships there and you become known for that. So you have to pivot, you have to adapt, you have to adjust with what's happening in the market. And your organization does too. Because if you don't, it's not going to end well.
Yeah, I agree with that. So you made a comment about accountability and getting around the right people, and I hear that come up quite a bit just in conversation with other folks, and I think it's important for listeners to really continue to hear that, because there's a lot of suffering in silence in our industry right now. There's a lot of work from home. We don't necessarily get around others as often as we used to. There's just that kind of lack of collaboration and inspiration. And so as a leader and as a producer, how are you helping your team navigate that? What are some of the things that you guys do to hold each other accountable or just to stay inspired?
Well, you need goals. That's my big sales pitch there is set a goal, articulate your goal. You know what actually really does help is visualization. That's not something, like, if you brought that up to me 5 years ago, I would have just been like, all right, yeah, whatever. Visualize what? But it works, because most of the issues that we have in society, and definitely in our industry, they're neck up. Like, can you control what's going on in your head? Are you disciplined? Are you focused? And when things get tough, it's easy to have the cracks exposed in your business, the cracks exposed in your career. Do you shy away from looking at that stuff in the mirror? Or do you embrace it for what it is and use it as fuel, use it as an opportunity to kind of dig in and make some necessary adjustments? I did 75 hard earlier this year, which, great program, right? This has been around for a handful of years now. I've since completed phase one, but the reason I did that is I was Eeyore also. I was feeling some of the effects of that, and I'm an established producer. I've had 7-figure years, okay? And when you've had that level of success and you're doing 60% of that, and you're like, oh, this is terrible. Like you get down too. So if I'm feeling that, I know everyone else is feeling that too. So don't think that because people who have made money in this industry and are quote unquote top producers haven't felt that and dealt with it. We absolutely do. Everybody does. And so you got to hit a reset. So you got to do some hard stuff. You have to condition yourself to deal with these ups and downs and expect that they're going to come. That's not what happens, it's how you respond. So if you haven't rounded that corner, you need a mindset shift. That's first and foremost. And then you need to start thinking about what is the number one most important thing, just one thing that you can do to move your business in the right direction. What is the essential, most critical thing you could do? Figure out what that is, and then that's all that matters. You marry that, and nothing else should take precedence over achieving that objective. And then once you hit that objective, what's the next one thing? And keep building from there because everybody's business and situation varies.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear you say that because one criticism that I've heard over and over again about loan officers is the tendency to kind of shiny object syndrome, just kind of chase the new trend or try and do this new shiny thing or work on this product or whatever it is. And if you don't go all in on just a few things, you can spread yourself way too thin. And so, yeah, I love that comment that you made because it's come up more than once in some conversations that I've had with top producers, and it seems to really be kind of a secret sauce for being, among that elite group of producers. I think at the IMB Housing Summit last year, Sean Panosian used the term "smash the mundane," and I love that.
Embrace the suck is what we say.
Yeah, embrace the suck. There you go.
Embrace the suck and. Look, we all have to deal with stuff we don't want to deal with. What's your attitude about that? If your attitude is you're a hunter and you're going to go get after it, you're going to tackle that thing early on in the day, and guess what happens? Everything else is downhill. I gave a speech to, I don't know, about 30 plus realtors at an agent tour not too long ago, and that was kind of cool because I didn't know most of the agents in the room. And, they put 12 houses on the tour, and all the agents go from one house to the other, and they give feedback on the listing and share best practices. And I was a lender sponsor for that. And I was nervous to do that. I'd rather talk to 300 people than 30. That's just how I am. Right? Okay, why did I agree to do that? Do I necessarily need 30 new relationships or even one or three? No, the business is going well enough. You always want to meet new people. But I did that because I know that that's not a great strength of mine. And I wanted to put myself in an uncomfortable situation so I can get better at it. And I prepared for it. We have a great media savvy gentleman who works here by the name of Amir Saeed. He's also runs an amazing coaching platform. And he put on an outstanding presentation at our Elevate conference in Columbus, a couple months ago at this point. And Renee Rodriguez is one of the speakers. Renee, I have his book right here, Amplify Your Influence. Okay? I read that book in 3 or 4 days. I implemented a couple of the strategies before my big presentation. I got a standing ovation in that room with those agents. I've had referrals after that. I didn't do it for that reason. I did it to put myself in an uncomfortable position, to hold my feet to the fire. So when I go to my team and I say, hey, you need to embrace doing some hard things. You need to put yourself out there. Well, I'm actually doing that. I have ethos. I'm credible.
Yeah, no, I love your speed to implementation too. That's incredibly important. It's one thing to learn a skill. It's another to implement, and how fast you do that matters. Because we can all read a book and say that sounds great, and then never do anything about it. So,
sure. How do you differentiate yourself from the competition? And it can't be a race to the bottom with rates. It just can't be. There's got to be other things that you bring to the table.
Yeah, no, there's always a better rate out there. The best rate is the last rate. So if if you're not last, sometimes you got to be different enough to where they'll stay with you.
Yes.
But no, so what I've seen just from looking through your social content and what I've gathered on you, and we haven't talked about this, but I really see you as kind of a man about town. Like, it seems like you're really well connected in the Columbus area and, do a lot of things just kind of out and about, highlighting the community. Is that always been a part of your marketing strategy, or what are your thoughts on a loan officer being active in their community?
No, it has not. because again, the industry has shifted and evolved. Like you should always be active in your community, right? It used to be, when HARP hit, we were drinking refi business through a fire hose then, right? And the purchase market was it was not great. You didn't need to engage with agents in 2011. If you were in the industry, then you know what I'm talking about. You did not need to. They were calling you, and it was the other way around, right? Because people weren't buying houses. And then the market started to change, 2013, 2014, and then you got all this influx of loan officers coming in around then. You have an influx of real estate agents coming in around then, and hey, it's easy to make money, right? Rates are 3.5%, 3.75. Let's get after this thing, and then business is up year over year over year over year, right? And that was just kind of the way that things went. And we had enough past clients. We had some branch business. We didn't really need to do those things. And then COVID hit, and you definitely didn't need to do those things, right? Because you're out here with 2.5 interest rates. Well, out of nowhere, there was that period going into 2022 where things started to move, and then you had the Russia-Ukraine, and you had inflation reports coming out. It was like, wow, rates are 4.5, rates are 5.5. What are we gonna do? And it was the equivalent of doing a polar cold plunge when you're originally from Cuba and have never seen snow, right? Like it was that big of a shock, right?
Yeah.
And we all kind of didn't know what to expect through 2022, and then 2023, this isn't getting better. And even this year, right? Okay, what are you going to do about it? Well, you start getting into social media. You start interacting more. You have to go where the business is. You have to emulate what successful people are doing, right? And take a little bit from what I say. Take a little bit from what you say, from what such and such you follow on Instagram says, and kind of make it your own. And that's what we've done is we've adapted. We're doing more events. We're engaging more on social media. We're putting our own thoughts and opinions and history out there. Like I would never get on camera and talk like this pre-COVID. There's no way. Why would I do that? I don't want to put that out there. I have enough business. Let me just focus on this. But things are different now. Right? And that's part of the reason why I came to Lower, Connor, is people aren't walking in to a bank and shopping for a mortgage like they did 15 years ago. They're not. They're online. They're reading reviews. They're watching your videos on Instagram. I get referrals from videos, clients directly calling me based on content all the time now. That wasn't a thing. You didn't have to do that 10 years ago. So again, adapt and grow. Adapt and survive. Or don't. And you're going to be feeling sorry for yourself. Your business is going to go down. And then somebody like me or somebody who works for the Gerber group or Lower is going to swoop in and take your relationships because they're doing the things that matter. And you also have to find a way to bring added value to your referral partners other than you can close fast and you communicate well. That's a baseline. Can we agree on that? You have
the mission. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So how are you adding value? What are some things that you do to differentiate in that area?
Yeah. Well, I think you've got to be, an active cheerleader for your partners on social media, especially your agents. It isn't easy, you guys, to do a podcast or record a video or put content out there. And when you get some reciprocity that, hey, that looked really good. I don't know who does your stuff, but it looks great. And hey, I really like what you said here. When you give them that affirmation and support them, that they're gonna like you, right? Because that's a huge thing, right? And not only that, but it's free marketing, it's free advertising, it's a free way to interact. So we do support our partners there, but we also built a great network of professionals, respectively, ourselves, right? So I know financial advisors who are elite. I know some outstanding attorneys and accountants and other professionals that we can integrate with our referring real estate agents to maybe get them a listing, maybe get them in front of a group that is going to help them sponsor an event to make some money or find clients or whatever the case, get business another way, right? You have to start thinking relationally, not transactionally, right? And I do things all the time that don't necessarily result in a paycheck. I've teed up listings for agent partners that I'm not going to go get paid on. I've introduced people that have nothing to do with me. Somebody who needs a 1031 exchange and they're not even doing the loan with me and I've helped them out. Or, somebody who needs to set up a trust through an attorney and it has nothing. I do that stuff all the time. You have to be a people broker. That is the game. And that is how you bring value to not just real estate agents, but your past clients, is start connecting on more than a surface level. It's not about the interest rate. It's not about the transaction. It really is about the people, doing the work and who they're doing the work for. And if you put a focus on that, and every day you get up and you go into work and you think about connecting people and helping people, and that's the epicenter of why you do what it is that you do, you're going to make some money through osmosis.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's the mortgage business has always been the people business. And when you have an abundance mindset and just go out to help,
Yeah.
great things will happen. And back to your comment about supporting your partners, I think social media, to your point, gives us this amazing platform to be able to do that. And I never understand why people gloss over that. Just simply commenting, being supportive, really showing some complimentary,
I'm with
comments
you.
to those posts. It makes a huge difference. As someone who's been a content creator myself, like I know the anxiety that people go through before they push post. I know
Yeah.
I've lived it, right?
Good story. You know what, dude? Like, that is very true. Let me do like the devil's advocate, the other side of this coin. We didn't need social media for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, the only people who are doing that are attention seeking douchebags, right? Like, no,
Sure.
there was a stigma there, like with the old, like, I
Yeah.
don't need this, no, I don't need that attention. And I was always like, I don't want that attention. I'm not doing social media because I want attention. I do not want attention in that regard, right? But I want relationships. I want people to get to know me. How are you supposed to be a trusted advisor, a trusted expert, and people to get to know you, and then you're not putting any
The
content out there?
anonymous. Right. Yeah.
Right. So that's today, right now. What's that look like in a year or two or five, right? You become even more obsolete. But here's the other point, too. The clients that you service, man, like find a way to offer 7-star service. Forget 5 stars.
Yeah.
Answer your phone. Don't shy away from a difficult conversation. Be communicative, transparent. Execute. Do what you say you're going to do. Close the loan on time. Like, really be elite. Really go out of your way to communicate with both agents on the deal, even if they have no real relationship with you. We win that all the time, right? That's how I got invited to do that agent tour, by the way. It was by a listing agent on a deal that said, I've legitimately never had as good a service in my 20 years as an agent as what you and your team provided on this non-warrantable condo purchase that you closed early, right? So that high level service, those past clients, they're gold. And if you're not viewing them in the same way that you would a real estate agent, then you're missing the boat there too.
Yeah. That's
Your
awesome.
past client should be your number one referral source.
Absolutely. Way too many people miss their database. They don't work it. They don't. Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. So let's wrap that up. Let's move on to what I like to call the lightning round of things. These are just 5 fun questions I ask
Oh gosh.
everybody.
Okay.
It's a little get to know you stuff. So I'll put you on the spot. But question number 1, and this one might be my favorite, is what is a favorite quote that you have? It could be from a movie, a TV show, a song. It could be from just, something you saw on social media. But what's a
Too
quote
many.
that really resonates with you?
I'll give you one that's a little colorful, and then I'll give you one that's just like something good to live by. I read a book a while ago called The Way of the Superior Man, and every moment waited is a moment wasted, and each moment wasted deludes your clarity of purpose. So that means get off your ass and go do something. Stop waiting. This was a big character flaw for me. Don't put it off. If you could do it right now, go do it right now because you might not get another opportunity to. And then you get that, whatever it is, it's off your list. You move on to the next thing. You got more mental bandwidth for what's next. Movie quote Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage, The Rock.
Okay.
Losers whine about their problems. Winners go home, the prom queen. And then Nick Cage comes in. Carla was the prom queen. Okay? I thought, man, like you guys are sarin gas, Alcatraz, end of the world, end times, like all bad stuff. And here you are, like, I challenge you. Yeah, I'll answer that challenge. Like, let's
Yeah.
go, right? And that's just quintessential 90s action flick for you right there.
Yeah. They don't make movies like they used to, man.
They do not.
All right. So, what is a hidden talent that you have?
Ridiculously talented at rapping.
Yeah? All right.
Yeah, and so like I used to do battle rap competitions when I was a
No
teenager in my
kidding.
early 20s. I started off learning like rap songs and like rapping them and doing that at parties in high school. And then I started writing my own lyrics with the same cadence the rapper would use, the same beat. And then I got away from that and just came up with my own stuff. And I mean, I probably written and produced a couple hundred songs in my life. And
No kidding.
that's some stuff you've heard too that you'd never know because ghostwriters are real.
Yeah.
And it turns out, back if I were coming up now, probably would have actually made something of myself in the industry. But somebody like me trying to do that in like the mid 2000s, it just wasn't. You were always just like a rip off or whatever, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I did get it. I did do some ghostwriting, and
Very
occasionally you're
cool.
driving down the road, no one's
Yeah, that's a
around.
Gerber jam, huh?
I mean, we do a little bit once in a while. My kids like they think it's hilarious,
Yeah, that's
hilariously
funny.
embarrassing, but no,
Well, hey,
it's still hidden talent.
hey, it's mailbox money, right? So,
It used to be.
yeah. So if you weren't in mortgage, if you weren't funding loans, running a team, what would you be doing?
I want to be an epic. I mean, sports agent would be cool, like in the music industry, cool. But I want to be like an epic trial attorney. I'm talking like in front of the cameras, high stakes cases, oral arguments. Like I'm not writing the opinion piece for the judge to win that case, but let me be the orator in the courtroom, working the jury and laying that out and with nuance and skill. That would have been my dad's an attorney. Like I would have loved going that route. I became a dad at 22 with the high school sweetheart out of left field, and it was enough for me to get a 4-year econ degree. There was no law school happening at that point.
Right,
But
right. I gotcha.
trial attorney, definitely.
Yeah, cool, man. What is a skill that you've always wanted to learn how to?
Man, I would love to like a couple things, but like I would love to learn how to draw. Really, like I draw like stick figure. My 3-year-old son draws better than I do. Like, I just thought it'd be cool to like be a little bit more artistic. And also like I want to learn how to be like a really good cook. I'm very into like nutrition and fitness. You can't tell because I'm wearing a dad sweater and sitting down, but I am. But that consists of grass-fed beef and like some fruit and vegetable. Like I'm not like a chef. I would love to be an awesome cook. I just haven't invested the time to do that yet.
Yeah. And then final question, what is something from your childhood? It could be, a movie remake, it could be a TV show coming back kind of Cobra Kai style from a different perspective. It could be fashion, it could be, a restaurant, whatever. What's
Okay.
something from your childhood that you wish would make a comeback?
I mean, it kind of has like the starter gear, like and like the
Okay.
champion NBA jerseys. But the starter gear, like the
Yeah.
hats, like the starter jackets, like those things were fly. But I'm in my 40s now. Like, what could I realistically say? I would love to see cartoon WWF wrestling make a massive comeback now. They do a great job in the WWE. Those guys are great athletes, but I want like the outlandish characters that walk around with a snake
Yeah.
or dress up with bright colored face paint and look like guitar players that are on steroids, right? Like,
Yeah, man.
bring that back, please.
Yeah, you had Jake the Snake Roberts, Rowdy Piper.
My guys.
And
My
yeah,
guys.
Saturday morning, man, all day.
Shout out to Ric Flair. I got like an exclusive Ric Flair championship belt somewhere. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I would bring that back totally.
Yeah, my kids' volleyball team, we've got another parent on the team that when we get on a run and the other team takes the time out, he does the Ric Flair walk and he comes out in
Yeah.
front of everybody and he goes, "Give me 2 claps and a Ric Flair." And we go, "Woo!"
Woo! You know what's equally sweet? Like the Ray Lewis entrance. Like if you guys remember Ray Lewis when he would come out at M&T
yeah.
Stadium and like the swag
Yeah.
there and then the
Yeah, yeah.
like that's very Ric Flair is like a freaking icon for a lot of reasons. He's influenced so many people. And
Yeah.
I wish Ryan Day and Ohio State would have had that sauce against Michigan a few days ago. And they go out there and flex their talent and they have some swagger to them because they have the athletes to do that, man. And I love people that, I don't think that that's cocky. Like, you need to have self-belief. And when you put the effort in that guys like Ray Lewis, the guys like Ric Flair put into their craft and being elite, go out there and like
You've earned
think
it.
that you can go kick some ass, like and show it. There's nothing wrong with that,
No,
right?
you've
Because you're
earned it.
walking the walk. I dig
Yeah.
it.
Absolutely, man. Well, hey, thanks for joining the lowdown. You
Yeah.
gave some great insights today, man. It was great talking with you. So I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you.
Awesome. Appreciate you having me. Thank you.